Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Tico. There you are, man.
Carmen Stevens.
And welcome back to our weekly show here.
Here we go.
So, today we are going to pick up on a topic that was actually brought to my attention no more than an hour ago. So, this is probably geared more towards you.
Moi.
Oh, you.
I didn't get practice for this, so it's game on shotgun.
So, I was asked by someone who is in the lifestyle that recently left the lifestyle if they feel like they've been ousted after stepping out the game.
What do you mean? Ousted as in
someone
talked about it, or ousted as in not allowed back?
Ousted as in she felt like kind of like she maybe lost all of her friends and basically almost had to start a whole new networking circle.
Yeah, I can see that.
So can you indulge a bit on that?
Okay, yeah, I can. So I did originally when I first got involved in the community. I was staff when I was a paramedic for AMR. I was staff for couples cruise lifestyle events, and there was a huge network. It's an international network. I mean, they're very loving, but they're also very private. There's confidentiality stuff. You know, they like to keep their life and their private life and stuff with privacy and stuff. So there was a huge group on it, and it was kind of there was a lot of connections on my Facebook, and it was a huge topic. So I had people intermingling within one genre or another, so to speak. So people were intermingling a little bit. I mean, it just got to be too much. I mean, the focus was all like very superficial, and I couldn't post any cute pictures because then it would be like, you know, now my inbox is popping and dates trying to pop, and I'm like, listen, I'm not about that, you know? So I went through and did a purge of like 350 friends.
Oh, geez.
I cleaned up my list. So, and I'm kind of, I don't want to say reintegrating, but I'm definitely just allowing some certain ones back in my life just because they're very solid individuals and great people. But I'm not a swinger. I'm very open, I'm bi, I'm poly, but I'm not a swinger. So, however, being part of the community, I can see how you can lose your friends, and I think part of that situation might be because they're giving her space and her respect of like, you know, we know you don't want this, so we don't want to make you uncomfortable. Or does she feel like they shut her completely out?
Well, they feel like she got shut completely out. So I'm gonna disconnect and I'm actually gonna pull up some of this info right here since we are live. I'm gonna let them know that we're all on. We are on. We're live.
I think I can see that.
So it was more of the question where she said she felt like she lost a lot of friends, kind of like she was escaping almost from a kind of like a cult.
I can definitely see where she would say that. I mean, it is a huge part of some people's lives. It's every activity, it's what they do, it's the only friends and conversations that they have. I mean, how many of her friends were really
friends?
Well, yeah, how many were really friends? I mean, if that's their focus, it's like your drinking buddy, like the one that only hangs out with you when you're drinking, or your drugging buddy or whatever.
Exactly.
And like, let's not put it in a dark light either. I mean, it may also be her perception. It may be perception. I'm not saying that she's perceiving it wrong, but it may be just like, you know, and it is true that part of I don't want to say disgusted. I wasn't disgusted with it, but I was done. I was like totally done with every conversation leading to an invitation to have sex.
Yeah.
And that's part of their culture, and that's fine. And I didn't have any judgment on it. I just was like, okay, that's not for me. So I stepped back.
So it was.
But then again, I'm not uncomfortable. I just didn't want to hear it anymore.
It's kind of that feeling where the primary subject or the main objective being sex within itself just wasn't really kind of the relationship as far as friendship wise that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I kind of was in it on accident, you know, as in being staff with all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was ambassador and staff. So yeah, but I think like even a lot of the staffers knew that anyway. So I wasn't really approached. Like I was just at a pool party on Saturday and nobody even said a word to me or even flirted or acted anyway. They just, but I think that comes from just saying who you are and what you want.
And that's also being that.
Articulate what you say, what you want.
Comfortable in the lifestyle as well.
Yeah. Well, comfortable as a person. I think if you're comfortable as a person, it doesn't matter where you are, what lifestyle you're in. You could be in a gay club, you can be in a straight club, you can be, at church or in school. If you're comfortable with yourself,
you're in your zone.
So for example, my bestie and I went to a friend's house and she got in the pool and she took her top off. And her friend was like, oh my gosh, she's naked. And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And so my friend said, should I get dressed? And I texted my friend, I said, we should probably go. And she said, yeah, she's young, she's new to all this. And I'm like, that was my fault for not premising that there might be toplessness or whatever over there. And of course, my friend said, do you want me I can put my clothes back on? I'm like, no, it's kind of past that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you can't get unpregnant, right? Yeah. And so I was like, no, this was my fault for not prepping everyone for the environment. I should have told you she was vanilla. This would have never happened. I should have told her that there was potential, what kind of environment it was, and I was overtired and pay attention, but it was totally on me. And so those things can be avoided through like communication,
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't feel like I gave up any of my lifestyle friends. My friends are still like Don and Donna threw a party for me this weekend.
Yes.
A going away party. And I don't play or participate.
No.
I mean, I bring my people, but.
But you do have friends that you've met from the lifestyle that you brought back into your own personal life after you stepped out of.
Oh, yeah.
They're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this may just be a very, yay, big of a group.
Well, the people that love me. So it doesn't have anything to do with what they do privately in their own room or on their weekends or with each other.
Their
kind of none of my business.
Relationship was with you, not about you. If that makes sense.
So it's all about, it's not the physicality of it. It was
definitely more of an actual connection. So don't have anyone on here yet, but we did have a few questions. So let's pick up right where we left off. Wrong day. What's considered enough? This is where we left off. This was our last topic of conversation.
All right. So
what's considered enough? Let's just go through scenarios.
Enough what? For who? I mean, some people feel like they have to have it 3 times a day. Is that what you're talking about? How much sex is enough sex?
Yeah. How much sex is enough sex that's needed to keep a relationship solid? What would be a general expectation? We're gonna find this out. So what do you think the general?
I don't know. Google that shit.
We're Googling it.
Okay, so here's what's true. I think that's an individual thing. And we had this conversation, I don't remember what it was, when we were trying to do this on Tuesday last week at a shit show. So we said, what's our topic? And we were talking about like people bringing up how much is enough. I mean, for some people, it's got to be marathon sex or they're not happy. And some people feel like they have to have it every day. And some people, it has to be super connected or it's not good enough or it's superficial and it's a waste of time,
Yeah, definitely. So
speak from experience. Don't read it. Tell me what's enough for you.
So I'm going to get there. So according to the Archives of Sexual Behavior, 2017, it shows that the average adult gets some action 54 times a year or about once a week.
Okay. So average.
On average.
Okay.
Now, mind you, let's think about this in perspective of statistics. So we have 52 weeks in a year. We're averaging about 1 a week. So it's I think it's like 1.1. If there's 7 days out of the week, one of those days you're going to have sex.
Okay.
That's a lot of hours in the week.
Yeah. I wonder if it's how much is so you have to also go back into the period of time which people are most sexually active. I mean, whether it's in your 40s or your 30s or whatever, or whether you're elderly and it's once a year. So what's that number? But I mean, I think that more and more people are experiencing that part of their life more often. I think they are talking about it more than ever.
They definitely are.
I think, like I told my friend when we had our guests with us, I said, she said, well, she's not into this. And I said, well, trust her to make her own decision. Like, let her tell you what makes her uncomfortable. Not that we're going to make her uncomfortable or force her to be in a situation she doesn't want to be. But I would just definitely say, like, talk about it and don't hide things. Because the more you talk about where you're at and what you're doing, and I'm not talking about in explicit detail like the female that we had that conversation, the woman that we had the conversation.
Yes.
She's like, that's disgusting. I'm like, well, do you think I show them pictures, videos, or step-by-step instructions? No. I talk to them about, different topics about, I don't know, but I just feel like it's open for them to talk about. So anyways, I do feel like people are discussing this topic more often on both sides of the fence. People are using it much more casually than they ever have before too.
Yes.
Because hookup culture was a big part of one of our conversations that we had.
Yes, it was. So speaking of hookup culture, speaking of number of times a week, kind of just you
really, wait. Do you think the hookup culture is good or bad for sex in general?
Ooh.
Because we can go to amounts in a minute. So I think there's part of it that's great. I think that people are much more less of a stigma and they're getting their needs met. It's like a cheeseburger. We're going to run through Burger King. We're going to have a quick little session, whoever.
Yeah.
Right. And they have more players in the game than they ever had before. But then there's a movement about keeping things spiritual too. Right. So as you go through all of that, I think that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing. Now, however, I do think, though it is a good thing, it's also possibly one of those things that could come back, and I believe from like a sociological grand aspect, could bite society technically in the butt. And the reason why is we've also noticed studies have shown all over the place that people are getting very comfortable being single.
They are. We had that conversation. They're comfortable where they bring people into your life instead of dating to make a life with you.
Exactly.
You're not rearranging pieces and parts to marry or whatever. The goal more so is finding a match.
Exactly.
That brings people into the better portion of the most elements, right?
Yes.
And the traditional aspect is a little different.
It is. So, and see, that's what I mean now.
But is that better?
When you talk to the hookup culture, like, I mean, yes, people are becoming more aware of their interactions. They're becoming more aware of the conversations they're having with people. It's getting a little less taboo, more of an open topic. However, I think it's almost getting a little too acceptable.
Right, and this is what Esther's saying. Unfortunately, hookup doesn't provide much space for true tantra. So you're losing the intimacy, but you're getting the physicality of it, which, like I said, there's a little give and take with that. I think that you're being more open and you're talking about it, you're getting your needs met. But like I said, this is a snack. We're talking about maintenance. We're talking about people using, I don't want to say using, but having
using very much so, but it's a tool, but it's not negative. It's not negative. It's a mutual, I would guess to say.
Well, there are comfortable relationships that can provide that without any stress, and I think that's how people end up in situationships. However, there is, I think, as a whole, I think it's beneficial to be talking about it and being comfortable. There's nothing wrong with your body or the functions of your body. But I will agree with Esther, because being a spiritual beast that I am, there is something to intimacy and energy building and sacred sex and sacred exchange. Definitely. And that's where I spend my time, And if I didn't, I absolutely am demisexual. I absolutely have to have connection. I have to act, literally from my past, my abusive past. I think I didn't explore the lifestyle because physically I needed a spotter. We talked about that. It's not something I felt like I could be safe doing because of my violent past and childhood stuff. So it just was never a place I wanted to go in, though I tried to put myself in those situations. It just wasn't for me. But I do spend my time with people I absolutely have a connection with. And that has to come first.
And see, you can't really always get that with the hookup culture.
I can.
Well, you can, but not. I'll speak from a guy's perspective. Doesn't always necessarily make it that far. But yeah, I think the hookup culture is good up to an extent, as long as it's kind of kept within the reality of the fact that it's still another human being. People do
portion of people are like I've said this before on my other topics where I've said in the dating what we did with Travis, where I said people are using each other for a commodity, but they don't want any of the work. So they want the assets and none of the work.
Yeah, and I actually mentioned that in my guide. Some of the difficulties that arise, at least with men, are they end up having, and this is actually not, I'm not going to say men in generalize like that. It's just people in general have a misconception of what a relationship is when you've been in the hookup culture for so long. Does that make sense?
I don't think anybody fucking understands what a relationship is. I think they use language in order to get what they want and dodge responsibility when it comes to intimacy, because regardless, it is an intimate act. And I think that where the danger lies is when people subtract the intimacy and keep it physical, and that's when people get hurt, because it is impossible to do something that intimate and not have a connection eventually. Let's argue.
I agree to disagree.
Okay, so you can be fucking somebody for a year and not have feelings for that person.
I have.
And you just don't give a shit about them?
No, it's not that I don't give a shit. Whoa. Let's pull back now.
I'm gonna ask.
On the detail. It's not that, it's just very, 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 very clean lines have been drawn.
Okay, lines and boundaries have nothing to do whether you have intimacy with this individual.
But
so you can have a sexual connection with someone for a year and it never became intimate. It was just bang bang go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what it was on both sides, though.
Okay, got it.
I mean, both sides were like,
"Hi, Jennifer. How are you?"
Jennifer.
I got a big wave.
But both sides knew kind of the boundaries. It wasn't even.
I would love to interview this person, because I feel that love, respect, friendship, connection, intimacy occurs naturally without. I don't care what you say your boundaries are, what your expectations are, that you're telling each other this is what we're going to do for whatever situation. I mean, poly can have some of that too, where we're just in this to make sure both of our needs are met. We're a great match for this. Like, you and I work together great. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our work chemistry, our work ethic, and all that works together, and there's none of that, but I see how you could create that event. You could create sex into a function to where we keep it right here. Well, so I think that's possible for men a little more than it is for women.
And naturally it is.
Okay.
It's built in women not to be necessarily so physically connected, but more of a emotional, spiritual. You have to have that chemistry there. It goes back to, as I brought up numerous times, men just within our genealogy eons ago are just built for survival and reproduction. And with reproduction, it just comes down to testing your tools as much as you can to make sure they work, and to provide enough money to attract attract the best mate.
Okay, got it.
So they are wired exactly, Jennifer, totally different. However, there's also a lot of studies that show the wiring can be crossed or could be different.
I agree. And I was going to suggest that I think women are most happy when they explore being more free and comfortable with their bodies. And I think men have more intimate sex when they slow down a little bit and get connected. And I think that's what we're here to teach each other.
It is.
I think that there is physiological differences that when two people decide to meet in the middle, it gets better, because of that. But we are wired very differently.
Very different.
We're nurturers and you're not.
So when it comes to that statement that we were just at on how that process can happen, it's because we don't, as males, we're just wired not to necessarily have to have that connection there. Yet if you find a female that's wired like a man, which there are plenty of women out there that have the exact same mindset that men do, you can get a situation where it works. Now, just because
that's true,
physically it works doesn't necessarily mean that the friendship and the chemistry that develops is on the same page as well. Because we're talking about a body. It's like, I'm going to go work out with you, but I can't stand to be with you outside of the gym.
Okay, got it.
That's
a very good analogy.
That's my analogy.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. It's like, hey, you're a workout.
So, and here's what's interesting, though, is there's so many different dynamics to the psychology of sex, like what people expect, and how their belief system affects what they do with their body. Because for some people, this is perfectly okay. And this is blasphemy to the others. Hi, Andrea. Thank you, darling. Nice to see you. And all the support and love I can get right now. Appreciate it. It's been a hell of a couple days. So, but yeah. I don't know, workout partner.
It's a very good analogy.
So that's my new word. It's going to be what you call testing your tool and my new workout partner. Those
yes,
are good words
it's a workout partner.
All right, interesting. You know
what I mean?
I'm kind of intrigued by that. So the topic that you wanted to talk about was how much is enough. And I want to know from you guys, like if you were to, what subjects would you want to discuss? What things are you feel like aren't being talked about enough? What would you like to bring to the table or have us feature or bring on? I mean, I don't want to
I'll talk about
fetishes or anything, but truth be told, yeah, I will too.
I'll talk about whatever. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about some of the taboo subjects that
we got angry faces.
People have to talk about.
Okay, so you were saying how much is enough?
Yeah, so we're going back to the topic on once a week. I find that number to be extraordinarily low.
I agree.
You'll agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this people that are living together or people that aren't living together or in general? I got so many questions.
So I say, here's the thing. If you're like a married couple, I would probably... Or cohabits, yes. I would probably definitely say that it should be around like maybe 3 times a week.
I would say 3.
3. That's like a 50. That's like
if you're 50%. In my bed and I'm not getting 3, I'm probably going to be cranky.
Even if it's like a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of thing, it's the physicality.
Breakfast of champions.
Exactly.
What you mean wham bam? That's like we're gonna high five each other and go for brunch. Yes.
Yes. I think that it needs to be around 3, and that does include, the quick ones, whatever, but like there's got to be at least 1, if not 2, really just satisfying orgasms.
So what's satisfying? Does it take time for you? Or does it just, because we were talking about that.
See, Esther's hoping for daily.
Yeah,
now
okay.
see, now we're
oh my God. Okay.
That we're talking about.
All right. So for me, I mean, I would hope that if I was living with someone, there would be opportunity ample enough for it to be a daily thing. So we're not talking about how much is enough.
See, 4 to 7 a week with 2 to 4 amazing ones.
WLS in the house. She's my women's leadership sister right there. Okay, so all right, so you didn't ask me preference, you asked me what is enough. We were talking survival. So that is my granola bar standard is a minimum to be a functioning adult without bathing in others' blood for anger issues. I'm gonna need at least 1 good session a week. Maintenance. So the average motherfuckers out here are only getting maintenance.
Yeah, that's what we'll call maintenance.
So we got maintenance.
Maintenance.
So maintenance. If I had my way, it would be daily.
Daily.
Yeah.
All right. So I got some good stuff here. Okay. Daily. So I would say daily. I don't even need daily. But see, for me, my preference is I'm not just a 1. It's like a 1, 2, 3, maybe even a 4 in the short period of time.
Okay.
So just like kind of like built up.
Right. Okay. So what was I gonna say? Shit. You said. Okay, that was the other thing I was gonna mention. So drive changes different periods of your life. You are exhausted when you have little babies at home. You are tired when you have a new job and you're in school full time.
Which
hormonal.
Couples with kids.
Yeah. So I mean, so there's interference. Okay. So regardless of whether you have interferences or not, you still have that need of basic once a week. So that's your maintenance.
Yeah, my maintenance is about 3.
Okay. So I would say, interestingly enough, my needs changed most definitely after I hit a certain point in my life hormonally. I want to say 10 years ago, I had a complete shift. And if my son is out there, I love you. Because I remember, no, he's fine. He's
Oh, okay.
26. All right, so my point being that we had this conversation, and I said to him, I said, boy, I have so much respect for you. He said, why? And I said, how did you walk around at 14 years old with this much arousal, chemistry, and hormone influence? Because I look at women, I look around, and I'm like, growly,
Yeah.
like she's hot, and that, I never had that before. I never had like teenage grunts, like, oh my God. And so when I hit my, I want to say 38, I started to really ramp up a little bit, amped it. And I remember telling my son, oh my God, I have so much respect for you to be juvenile, 14 years old, impulse control being issues, and having this strong of a drive at that age, and having survived it, without inappropriate behavior.
It's interesting.
I was like, boy, oh my God, because I'm inappropriate. I'm 30. I was 40 something. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, so wow, awareness, right? Okay, that's a little crazy, but it's fine.
But then again, you have some people that will have, and like there's guys that can have rolling orgasms. Now, like that is.
So you're talking quality differences?
Quality difference, yeah. I mean, and that comes with, I would guess to say, the temperament of the moment in your life. But yeah, I mean.
He said so much respect for men and boys for that. Oh my God. Right? I mean, honestly, when I experienced that, I looked at my son and I was like, oh my God. And to be that young with that many hormones, because they say that young men hit their, they begin, you're still young. So no, I mean, when they're in their teens, right? Isn't that when it's at like a high hormonal peak, and they stay kind of at that level for a while?
Yeah, and I feel though it's a little easier because psychologically I'm not sure if the experience is there yet to catch up to satisfying those hormones and all that change, right? If you took a 27-year-old and you put them in a 17-year-old's body, I mean, things will be very different as far as self-control and everything else, because the self-control it's only going to be there up to a certain point, but then it can get satisfied. Like that can get.
It's all right.
You can relax that.
Okay, so I don't know. Did we cover that topic appropriately? Any other questions you guys have? Hi, Meg and Nikki and Jennifer.
So what I do have here is the study that we talked about. So we are in the 2017 Archives of Sexual Behavior, and we had about 54 times a year. Now they're referring to couples. No, they were talking about single individuals.
So now, single people are getting it once a week?
Yes. Now when it comes to couples, we have the social, psychological, and personality science that has found through their research that couples are having it at least once a week. And those that are documenting it once a week say they're having a happier relationship than those that get
So the number's the same whether you're single or you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Once a week is the national standard, folks.
Which is, it still is low. That's quite low. That's unacceptable.
That's unacceptable.
Unacceptable. So, but I do have.
It's good money though, I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I'm not down for whatever I can get. I'd rather go without it if it's not going to be quality. I'm perfectly fine with it.
So we then started to break down this by age.
Okay.
So now we're starting to get into our theories that we have here in our hypothesis that people under 30 have sex on average 112 times a year. So just a little over twice a week.
Okay.
So you're under 30, you're looking to have sex about twice a week. And which is interesting because when we go ahead and increase that age to the 30 to 39 bracket, there is a decline to 86 times a year.
That's still more than the national average of once a week.
It is still more, but that is a huge drop.
Yeah. So
we're talking about over a 30%
we're talking 9
drop.
years, but that's the childbearing years.
Those are the childbearing
years. That's when children
years.
are, people are having children, and that's when families are, 30 to 39. That's also when you graduate college and get deep in your career and start buying houses and start being responsible.
Yeah. But you can still, what did Esther say? 4 to 7 times? That's a good number, Esther. we should like make a social push in society to increase those numbers. Those are rookie. Well, once a week, those are rookie numbers. You got to step those numbers up.
I wonder, so can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Let's look up, because we do have a lot of lifestyle connections, two of us. So I'm curious to see what that lifestyle number would be. Can you look up can you Google that and see if they're experiencing more? Because they tend to document more. They document more.
Yeah.
They document a lot differently.
Yeah, they don't use notches. It's just more
The
like
actual
calendar
picture.
checks and stuff.
So people in the lifestyle, all kinds of lifestyles, are talking about it a little more. I would be willing to bet that those numbers are probably more accurate and current.
The
A
lifestyle number.
They're going to be more open and willing to talk than in general.
Then you also have to take in the fact that they also naturally are the peak of those numbers because that's what their mindset is.
We'll look it up. Let's Google it.
All right, we're doing some searching here. So what are we looking for? Let's go look for and kind of try to figure out our numbers here. The average times of sex for a swinger. See if we get any kind of information.
Okay, I didn't realize I accept the tag. Okay, you got statistics there?
Yeah.
Anybody else got those
So
numbers?
I have numbers. So and
She said rookies, all guaranteed. All right, so.
see, look at it. Yeah. So I'm not able to see
Are you asking the right question?
the date on this information. However, it looks like there are, according to the Electronic Journal of Human Sexuality, we are dealing with approximately 13 million people in the United States engaged in the swinging lifestyle.
Okay, so
13 million. What do you have?
Well,
See, I feel
I
like
found
you
an
would-
article that said swingers are more likely to stay married, but hold
Yeah.
on. Non-monogamy versus monogamy. New study shows swingers are more likely to stay married. Let's see. Women swinging sex, seduction, psychology. All right, hold on.
We're getting some numbers here. So Adult Friend Finder, AFF, has about 27 million members. Now, a lot of those are probably going to be bots and whatnot. However, 27 million members on AFF. And they're reporting about 20,000 new ones a day. Vegas, rated one of the kinkiest places in America.
Go figure.
Go figure. So with these numbers, the average age for your swingers is 39 years old.
I would go with that. I would agree.
39 years old. So you're approaching 40. You're just starting to get into the lifestyle. The average age for a woman to start swinging is 31. However, the average male age or man to start is 35.2. Explain.
Me? Why do I gotta explain? Let me see these numbers. Men,
Your average.
the mean age is 39. So 31 and 35. Because it takes you guys fucking that much longer to get your shit straight.
Damn.
You guys, it's true.
More than 90% of swingers are white and middle-aged.
Okay.
See that? Nearly 90% of swingers are married for, what did that say?
Distribution of political parties, psychology. I'm just looking for these numbers you're asking for.
Oh, not going to find it. All right. Let's think of some numbers here. Hey, Nicole. Nicole, we're talking about the lifestyle. So here's the question I have for you, Nicole, and I'm hoping you hear me. The average person has sex, what? What did we say?
Once a week.
Once a week, okay? Now, the average, what did we say, married couple is about the same. So when you're in your 30s, you're averaging sex about 112 times a year. That's what we figured out. I'm saying that these numbers in the lifestyle are extremely skewed.
According to skewed how?
Skewed as in they're, as you say, they're going to be a little more consistent. The numbers and the information you get are going to be significantly more accurate because you're going to get people that are more open to talk about this.
So why don't we just ask our swinger friends to tell us how much sex they're having a week?
So how much?
For those of you that are in the lifestyle, please tell us how often you're having sex a week. How many times a week? Inbox us.
Inbox us. Yeah, it doesn't have to be open. Just inbox us.
Or you can comment because they don't care.
I'm curious to know.
So that's interesting. I would like to know that answer.
Yeah, that's definitely a.
I would know they're getting more. I mean, actually, I would know. I know well, a couple.
But they're saying at least though, as a couple, if you're having sex more than once a week, you are in a happy relationship.
Well, I was with my girlfriend and we stopped by our friend's house, and she said, "How is it?" She goes, "Well, my buddy," she was telling me, she goes, "How is it that your friend can have a wife and a girlfriend sitting on the same couch, watching TV, and I can't even get one to act right?" And I said, "It's all about that communication." You know what I mean? It's like my honey and I walked in and they were talking about motorcycle parts. And they were like, "Well, are you going to do this?" He goes, "No." And the other goes, "Well, are you sure?" And he goes, "Really?" And mine just went like this and put his hand by his head and he goes, "Too much estrogen." And I said, "It doesn't matter, you don't want to." As I didn't say that. I said, "Well, here's the consequences. You have to do with two of us." But it's not so bad when they're cooking in the kitchen and giggling and being flirty with him and relaxing in the family way. It's kind of beautiful to see.
So we do have some information here to kind of, guide that question. We have a report that, where did I read right here? 78.5% of swinging couples report being happier and more satisfied with their intimate lives compared to the 64% of vanilla couples. Now we're talking about a significantly bigger number here. So what I'm anticipating and just kind of, assuming from reading this is that swinging couples have more sex.
No, swinger couples have more conversations. I would disagree that it's the sexual interaction. I think that once they are in a point of, we're not doing that again, Tico. That was all bad. I'm not doing that. Okay. So if we have a good experience, a bad experience, or like that was really fun, I want to do more of that. Or, whatever it is, they're having these deeper discussions to break it down before they even get engaged with any other couple, with any other situation, what they are in, before even any of other individuals come into play in the dynamic. What has to happen is a conversation.
It does.
Okay, so it all starts with, what do you want? Holy shit, I had no idea that you like walking in the mud. Like, it has nothing to do with sex, but there's something for you in there, right? So what is it about it that intrigues you? So those conversations are what's happening first.
They are.
So I would say that it has nothing to do with the sex itself. I think the sex is a byproduct of an open, loving, communicating couple.
So it's definitely more of a psychological kind of build up into your average then. Their communication is better.
So what, if you were to say you were hanging out with a couple, what is the defining factor that makes you want to hang out with a couple like that again? What is the defining factor? Even if I'm not talking about playing with them, I'm talking about people in the lifestyle. What is it that inspires you to keep them in your life if you're not playing? If you're not a player, so to speak, like me.
It's the communication.
Yeah.
It's how well you communicate with that person.
Where you stand.
Exactly.
Always.
I
mean, my daughter assumed for a very long time that I went to barbecues on a Sunday and did an orgy. Well, I'm a nudist. I like to go be where I can be naked, right? So for a long time, and she works in the industry at the strip club, and I invite her to come sunbathe with me, and she comes with me, and she's like, "Oh, this is so chill." I can try to tell you. Yeah, she's 28.
Yes.
Well, you've met her, right?
Yeah, I met her.
Okay, yeah. So, truth be told, if it's somewhere I can bring my daughter, there's going to be more eyes on her in that environment than there's going to be anywhere else. Safety-wise, And so, as far as I'm concerned, that is the defining factor of why they stay present in my life, is because they make me feel safe. I feel less molested if I go to a party where I can be nude than I feel at any other club or any other venue. Like, I have to watch my purse, I have to watch my drinks, I have to watch my girlfriend, make sure I'm safe on the way out. Here in these situations, I think that it's almost, it spoils me for other events because I expect that level of participation, involvement, respect to happen everywhere else. And it's hard because, when I go out dating or I'm in another environment, I'm like, what? Or when somebody really approaches me on that level of disrespect, it's kind of shocking.
That's a very valid
That's
point.
how I spend my time is with people that are able to talk. And I think that in return, that I am shocking to others because I don't have a filter any longer. I apologize.
No, I mean,
I'm not sorry, but I apologize.
It's a very valid point.
Hi, Jackie.
Hey, what's up, Jack?
So, I mean, is that what is it that brings you back to that environment? Like whether you're in a place with your partner that you don't play or you do, but what is it about it that inspires you to keep those people? Is it the communication? It really is that communication, but it's really, like you said, it's a judge-free zone. So you can be yourself in your own environment. You're not being judged by others, but it's a place where everyone has that same common interest of protection and safety and security and so on and so forth. So the judgment-free zone is huge for me too. Being bi, I can be in that environment and not have to censor, which I don't anyway. But I mean, there are places where it's appropriate to talk about and others it isn't, and it's okay. But I will tell you one of the reasons that I'm inspired to hang around swingers. Do you want to know the number one factor, people? I didn't expect that. I didn't know what you were going to do for a second. I was like, he's got the guns out. Okay, so my number one factor, and I was telling Darren and Maria this, and my friends Dawn and Donna, and a couple other people, I was saying that you inspire me. They inspire me because they're happy, they're well-adjusted, they're loving, they're trusting. I can hang out with you sitting here and girlfriend or my honey can go to the bar or have a conversation or in whatever situation, and it's safe, it's trusting, there's not going to be any questions about it. My ex-husband, if I was stopped after work to get a Philly cheesesteak and a beer, I got my ass beat. I mean, that's a whole other story. But it was like the jealousy and the distrust and the self-esteem issues. I'm not saying that we don't have self-esteem in moments, but I will say that it is incredibly inspiring to see how loving and accepting, and just the men even, just like my wife is crazy and she likes to XYZ, like go party, go drink, go be naked, whatever it is that their wife wants to do. I'm like, that is the most beautiful thing. Is for people to just love their person wherever they're at, whatever they want, a crazy thing they want to do, and they love to party, they love to vacay, and they're happy. So with all that happiness, obviously we've read that they say relationships are stronger, at least statistically, but you have to compare an apple to an orange in essence. Do you think that they really do have more sex? What's their average thing? Until we find out, because I mean, we're going to hunt this information down. We will hunt this in and put it there. But I will tell you this: I stay at my friend's house often, and they're having sex daily. Only by peripherally hearing about it, as in they're talking about it with each other, or them hiding off somewhere and going off, and I'm like, see you later. But I will say that it's daily or more than once a day if it is, or at least. So then you can at least say 14 days, or what would you say? Okay, let's just do at least. Okay, so it's a couple times a day during the weekend. 10 a week. So that's 5 or 6. So who cares how you spread the average out? It's still roughly, I would say, a minimum 5 times. Minimum 5. So in that 4 to 7 range. So you're talking about 5 different events. I don't know, but I do know that. We're going to have each individual. Okay, so yeah, they are. I would say they are, based on my experience with being physically in the presence of individuals that are not bragging and seeing it, where they're having the conversations of we just this or that or our weekend or so and so. I'm literally sitting with my friend and her husband, and she's telling me about the dates she's had on the weekend with her play dates. That's all open. So yeah, and they just discuss it. Yeah. So. Definitely. But I am inspired by how happy they are. So 5. So Esther's 4 to 7 was pretty accurate then. For people in the lifestyle? I would say for people just almost in general. What's considered. I don't know. She's the only one that spoke up, so we can't get a percentage of 1. So we're going to find this out. So it's on average once a week. And these are the statistical numbers we have from about 2 years ago. So obviously the numbers could change. I'm thinking more between like that 5 to 8 range. What makes you happy or what people are getting? What it should be. Oh, okay.
So I think that's what like realistically it should be. 3 times. I mean, it really just depends on the person.
So I'm gonna set myself up for a win and shoot for 2, which is double. And I'm thinking I'm better because that's the national average, and I'm gonna be a champion on that. Just kidding.
I'm an overachiever.
I'm
an overachiever.
All right, so here's what I want to say. So I'm Karma Steele and my Tico Pringle here. We're going to collaborate on this for a little while longer.
Yes.
Our goal is to get some evening shots in.
Yeah.
Because I think we'll have more participation and conversation if we're able to do this in the evening where people aren't rushing in between lunch or driving or with the kids. I mean, this is a lunchtime conversation with the kids in the car. So we're not going to do this at 3 o'clock next time. So we also want to get these online so when I go out of town, we can continue the conversations. But I would recommend that you put some questions in here. Please reach out to either one of us. Any conversation that you feel uncomfortable bringing forward, we will keep anonymous. Any kind of conversation, good, bad, ugly, I don't mind. I'm open enough. You can ask me anything, ask him anything. If you want to reach out to me, just click my name and find me.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
And come on my YouTube and watch because we're going to be doing more stuff on there too.
Definitely. So we are actually going to wrap this one up here in a little bit. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to reach out for it or to either one of us. If you would like for something to say private and anonymous, it will be done so as well.
And also, we'll have the links for our information in the live so that you can reach out if you need to. Lucid Dreams on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah. So when you get on YouTube, you can find this at Lucid Dreams. Also on the Facebook page, also on the Instagram. So just look up Lucid Dreams. You will see the logo and you'll see the video there. Anything else?
No. Bye.
See you guys. We're going to wrap this up. Look for us next week. We're going to be dropping a lot of new content here really soon. So be on the lookout for us. Go ahead and follow. It's that little button over there. Go that direction. And click on the profile and hit follow so you guys can make sure you get updated when we are dropping our new show. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later.
And thanks for spending the afternoon with us. We appreciate it. I know we're all over the place, but it's fun. I genuinely enjoy working with you. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. See you guys.
Hey, Raina. All right, guys. Bye.